I'm Tyler McNeil. I'm the operations manager for the Township of Spallumcheen, and I'll be giving you a presentation about the snow removal program. The snow removal program is governed by the snow and ice removal policy. That's policy number 5500.001. This dictates the plowing methods, the sanding methods, and the salting methods done on the roads. It also dictates which roads are priority 1 and priority 2. It also provides the guidelines for the operators when they are out on the road. So this is the overview of the 2023 budget for the snow removal program. It is the largest budget in public works. The budget here covers wages, overtime, engineering, contracted services, damages, equipment, and materials. Some things included in the materials are the salt, the sand, and the blades that are replaced on the snow removal equipment. And just one last point on this slide is the funds that are not used in the current year are placed into a reserve for years where we go over budget. And so the funds are then drawn from that reserve to cover those operational costs. This slide covers the materials that we use, mainly salt and sand. We use approximately 450 metric tons of salt a year, and that costs about $188 per metric ton. This is done in a joint tender with the City of Vernon. The sand that is used, we use about approximately 4,500 metric tons a year. It costs about $9 per metric ton, and it is mixed with a 4% ratio of salt. And these costs are dictated by our common boundary agreement with Vernon Paving, which allows them to mine material from a township-owned pit. This slide shows the routes that are within the Township of Spallumcheen boundaries. The routes are split into 4 quadrants, 1 operator per quadrant, and they do approximately 50 kilometers of road each. This takes them about 10 hours during a moderate snowfall event. This slide gives an overview of the operator controls within the unit. This controls the amount of salt or sand that comes out of the box and at what speed it comes out of. There are 3 settings that we use: a light, medium, and heavy. The light consists of 60 kilograms of sand per kilometer. The medium consists of 85 kilograms per kilometer, and the heavy is 130 kilograms per kilometer. Typically, we use the medium setting, and that costs about $15.81 per kilometer. These settings can be easily adjusted by the operator on the fly, and he can adjust the rate which the salt or sand is applied depending on the conditions, and the guidelines also dictate amounts to use at intersections. During December 2022 and January 2023, the township had freezing rain conditions. These conditions created a challenge for the operators as it created a layer of ice on all of the gravel roads. The grader that is used for the gravel roads to cut through the ice has teeth on the blade, which allows it to roughen up the surface, and then we can apply sand to the road surface. The township only has 1 grader, and there's roughly 40 kilometers of gravel roads. During this time, the grader was working all day as the gravel roads are spread out throughout the township. These are a few examples of the challenges the grader operator was dealing with during that time. As you can see in the pictures, there are vehicles slid out, which he has to avoid. And on the bottom picture, you can show how much ice had actually formed overnight during these freezing rain periods. This slide shows the grader operating. We have a quick video here showing the grader cutting the ice. And as you can see, those teeth working its way through the surface of the ice and exposing the gravel underneath. In the picture on the far right, you can see where the grader has cut the ice and sand has been applied to the gravel. This slide shows a few images of what the road looked like after the ice was cut using the grader. You can see the surface has been roughed up and sand has been applied. This creates better traction for the users on the gravel road. This was the process for the entire time. We had the freezing rain event and we were doing this daily. This slide shows a video from the view of our Public Works foreman, and he gives an overview of the operations on a typical snow day from his perspective.
Morning, I'm Mayor Christine Fraser for the Township of Spallumcheen. I'm here to talk about our snow removal policies a little bit. We have over 200 kilometers of roads in the township that are maintained by our 4 Public Works employees. So they maintain those according to our policies, and we'll now go into some of those policies and what that entails.
I'm Brent Stowards, the Public Works Foreman for the Township of Spallumcheen. Priority ones, we leave 5 a.m. that day, unless there's calls throughout the night. We do have someone on call for emergency services. But yeah, we start at the priority ones. It takes about 3 hours. If the snow is quit by then, we start on the 2s while hitting the 1s again if possible. Otherwise, there is some days, the real heavy ones, where we have to stick to the 1s just to keep those open. But we get there, we try to do everything within 24 hours of the starting of the storm. Priority 1 roads are plowed first. These roads have higher volumes of traffic and are bus routes. These roads have an asphalt surface and receive salt. The amount of salt determined not generally the quantity of snow, but the temperature for the last week, previous week, and the temperatures upcoming. On a typical snow event, the plow trucks leave here at 5 with a full load of salt if the temperatures are -6, unless we'll do it at -8 if it's warming or forecasted to warm up throughout the day. We usually complete that within 2 to 3 hours, barring any breakdowns or having to chain up or any unforeseen issues. Once the priority route is complete, the operator returns to the shop where they fill up with sand, or they'll check in with each other and see if we can get them salt out quicker to the priority ones if somebody's had trouble or broke down. Priority 2 roads are plowed second, have less volume of traffic, and are not bus routes. These roads have asphalt, seal coat, and gravel surfaces, and they receive sand. It's important not to salt the gravel roads, as it will just bring the frost up, create potholes and mud, and generally put the road in poor condition. On a typical snow event day, a plow operator leaves about 8 o'clock, 8:30, depending on breakdowns and unforeseen stuff. We can complete the priority 2s in another 3 to 4 hours, and that takes about a load of sand per route. We're broken into 4 sectors. By now, the salt should have had time to work or start slushing up a bit. Provided it's not colder than -9, it's actually -6. 6 is the more accurate number, otherwise we have to use so much salt that it's not feasible. The salt is applied to the crown of the road, which has a 3% slope. Traffic and slope allow the salt to work downhill and turn the ice into slush. Some people ask, so why are we high blading through the priority 1s or the 2s? That's because the salt hasn't had time to take effect yet, and we don't want to scrape it off before it has time to work. So assuming everything goes well, after that we'll take another 2 hours and pick up any priority 2s that are left, or flatter side roads that we haven't got to yet, and we'll slush off the mains as we go. Finish off cleaning the wider sections of the intersections. Generally, hills, corners, they might get extra salt, but shaded spots take longer to clear off. That's why we like to have our brushing done so it's wider, the sun can get in, and then the salt can take effect a little better. The blades don't turn on ours, so if we're stuck with just 4 trucks out, it comes off to the passenger side of the vehicle, and there's nothing we can do about that. We can't turn the blade, or we can't pull in or lift up, so we don't want to leave roads. We don't want to leave snow on the road, so it has to go somewhere, and that unfortunately is to the right. Once the snow has stopped and everything's all cleaned up, then we will bring out the grader or the tractor, and we'll start pushing snowbanks back, wing and back shoulders, and then we will do our subdivisions, and we try to send a loader out with the grader at that time so we're not leaving piles in the driveways, and that's basically how we try to get it done.